I was 17 the first time the Brotherhood tested my loyalty. The climb to the fortress nearly killed me. Cold wind cut through my cloak. The mountain path twisted through fog and silence. At the top stood the gates of Alamut Castle. No banners, no guards shouting orders, just men in dark robes watching everything. One of them stepped forward and placed a dagger in my hand. No ceremony, no explanation, only 5 quiet words: serve the Brotherhood or leave forever. I thought I understood what that meant. I was wrong, because the deeper you climb inside the Brotherhood, the harder it becomes to escape. I arrived at the fortress hungry, exhausted, and terrified. No one welcomed me. They simply took my name and erased it. From that moment, I belonged to the Brotherhood. The fortress itself felt unreal. Stone walls carved into the mountains, hidden tunnels twisting beneath the ground. This place had power and history. For centuries, whispers across the Middle East spoke about a mysterious order of assassins. Historians later called them the Order of Assassins. Their enemies feared them more than entire armies, not because they were many, but because they were precise. Inside the fortress, I met dozens of other recruits. Some were farmers' sons, some were travelers. All of us were young. All of us were watching, waiting, trying to understand why we had been chosen. But the Brotherhood did not answer questions. Instead, they tested patience. Days turned into weeks, no training, no lessons, just observation. They watched how we spoke, how we slept, how we handled silence. One night, a recruit disappeared. No explanation, no discussion. That was my first real lesson. The Brotherhood removes weakness quietly, and suddenly, I realized something terrifying. This was only the beginning. Training started without warning. Before sunrise, the fortress bells rang. We ran until our lungs burned. Then the real lessons began. Languages, codes, maps of distant cities. The Brotherhood valued knowledge more than strength. They believed a mind could defeat an army. I spent hours studying trade routes across Persia, memorizing the movements of kings and generals. It felt strange. I had come expecting weapons and combat. Instead, they taught patience, philosophy, strategy. The Brotherhood believed assassins were not killers. They were instruments, precise tools used at the perfect moment. During one lecture, the instructor spoke about the founder of our order, a man whose name still echoed through the fortress halls, Hassani Saba. He had turned a remote mountain fortress into a powerful secret state, not with armies, but with discipline and intelligence. His followers were trained to infiltrate courts, cities, and armies. Some never returned, but those who did became legends. That night, the instructor placed a blade in front of me, not to fight, just to hold. He said something I would never forget. Power does not come from the weapon. It comes from knowing when not to use it. I believed him. But soon the Brotherhood would prove something darker. The training changed. Suddenly everything became physical. Walking without sound, breathing slowly, moving through crowded markets unnoticed. The instructors forced us into strange exercises. One night they dropped coins across a stone floor. Our task was simple: cross the room without making a single sound. Most failed. Some fell. A few succeeded. And the Brotherhood noticed. They also taught disguise. A merchant one day, a traveler the next, a messenger the day after. The greatest assassin was not the fastest. He was the least memorable. Months passed. My confidence grew. I could move silently through corridors, disappear inside crowds. But the Brotherhood was waiting for something else. A moment, a test. One evening, a senior member summoned me. He handed me a small scroll. No explanation, just an instruction. Deliver this to the city below. It was my first mission outside the fortress. Simple. Or so I thought. But when I reached the city gates, I realized something disturbing. Two other recruits had received the same mission. Only one of us would return. And suddenly the Brotherhood's training made sense. Because the real test had begun. The city felt overwhelming. Noise, crowds, markets filled with shouting merchants. I had spent months inside a silent fortress. Now I had to blend into chaos. The mission sounded simple. Deliver the message. Return alive. But the Brotherhood never creates simple missions. I noticed something immediately. One of the other recruits was watching me, carefully, waiting for a mistake. That was the real test. Competition. Inside the Brotherhood, survival often depended on outperforming others. I avoided direct routes, took narrow streets, changed disguises twice. Every decision felt like a chess move. Hours later, I reached the meeting point. A quiet tea house. A man sat alone at the table. He took the scroll without looking up. Then he said something unexpected. "You're the only one who made it." My stomach tightened. "What happened to the others?" I asked. The man finally looked at me. His expression was calm, almost indifferent. They were not ready. I returned to the fortress that night, and proud, relieved, but also uneasy. The Brotherhood wasn't simply training us. It was shaping us, removing hesitation, eliminating weakness, and the next mission would be far more serious, because soon I would receive my first target. They didn't call it assassination. They called it balance. According to the Brotherhood, certain men disrupted the order of the world. Corrupt rulers, cruel governors, war leaders who sacrificed thousands for ambition. The Brotherhood believed removing one man could save thousands. That was the philosophy. But philosophy feels different when you hold the blade. My first target was a regional official traveling through the city. The Brotherhood had studied him for months, his routines, his guards, his weaknesses. My job was simple. Observe. Wait. Strike only if necessary. For 3 days I followed him. Through markets, through mosques, through crowded streets. I saw something unexpected. He was not the monster the Brotherhood described. He laughed with his children. He gave coins to beggars. The mission suddenly felt different. That night, I faced my first real moral conflict. Was the Brotherhood right? Or had I been manipulated? Morning came quickly. The opportunity appeared. One moment. One decision. I won't describe what happened next. Only this. When I returned to the fortress, the Brotherhood promoted me. And that was the moment everything changed. Because success inside the Brotherhood brings power. But power comes with darker responsibilities. Years passed. My missions expanded beyond the fortress. Cities across Persia. Secret meetings in distant markets. The Brotherhood had agents everywhere. Merchants, scholars, travelers, an invisible network stretching across kingdoms. The more I learned, the more terrifying it became. Kings feared armies, but they feared us more, because an army attacks the gates, an assassin appears beside your bed. Soon I was no longer carrying out missions alone. I was organizing them, assigning younger recruits to tasks, watching their decisions, their mistakes, their loyalty. One night, a recruit asked me a question. Do you ever regret joining the Brotherhood? I didn't answer immediately because I remembered something important. Once you climb high enough inside the system, leaving is impossible. Instead, I told him the same words my instructor once told me. Power comes from patience. But the truth was darker. Power also comes from control. And soon, I would reach the highest level, the one few recruits ever see. Years later, I sit inside the same chamber where my journey began. The mountain wind howls outside the fortress walls. Another recruit stands before me, young, nervous, 17, maybe 18, just like I was. He stares at the dagger resting on the table, waiting. Unsure, I slide the blade toward him. The metal catches the torchlight. For a moment, I see my younger self reflected in the steel. Curious, ambitious, completely unaware of what lies ahead. I repeat the same 5 words that changed my life. Serve the Brotherhood or leave forever. The boy hesitates. Then he takes the blade, and somewhere deep inside the fortress, the cycle begins again.